Hey, Jesse,
Hi, Jenny. How you doing?
are you driving?
Yep.
Where are you headed?
Headed back home after dropping kid off at school.
Oh, that's good.
Yep. And they
I'm
took down
heading,
they closed our quickest route, so I have to go around now.
detour time.
That's right. Traffic. So detour to traffic. It's not bad.
Gotta love the traffic.
Yeah. Huh. How are
Hi,
you today?
guys.
Oh, hi,
Hey,
Allison.
Allison. Good. I'm getting my steps in.
Yeah, I'm also walking.
Wonderful. Well, what are we celebrating today? What's our intention today? What is it we would love to work with? Work through.
We just had some beautiful awarenesses today. I'm celebrating Grace and her first interest in a guy, which is kind of fun. And I'm celebrating the happiness of unhappiness. How there's always a gift in everything.
That sounds like a lesson. Tell me a little more about that lesson.
Oh, I just see a transformation. And sometimes when we think we're in a dark moment, there's still a little light in there. And that light, the analogy is if light was outside of the room and you're in the dark room and light's peeking in going, I don't see any darkness. So when we let the light in, it lightens the whole thing. So I'm just seeing that unfold before my eyes. And it's very cool. Sorry for the road noise.
No, can't hear it. I love that in terms of like guiding the guide, which is what this is today. It's aiming at preparing for completion, and it's a lesson inside of that of the choice inside of the situation, and it's as framed up as focused on was the happy and the unhappy.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's
tying to
really
that,
powerful.
You can't lose if you don't want to win.
Good one, Jenny. Doesn't that make you happy, Jess?
and it sounds familiar, so of course it does.
Just another layer of the onion.
Have you got to the end of them yet?
No, I keep finding more onions.
Onions are layers. I mean, they're all the same at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
So I'll
Peggy.
go. Oh, sorry, Jess. Go.
Yeah, take it, Allison. Thank you.
So you were trying to get me to a point yesterday. Maybe you weren't trying, but that's what it kind of felt like. And I went and listened to the recording again last night, and I'm really glad I did. So I went yesterday to do that facilitation that I spoke about, and that was a very interesting experience for me for a number of different reasons. And I'll go back to that at later or at another time. But this morning I woke up with a migraine, and I know that it's related to the interaction with the medications, and so I'm just in a process of getting that sorted. But I've really, this last week, with all of this, I've had a kind of a heaviness that's been tricky for me to navigate and just to try and understand it. And then this morning I was with Jenny and Lynn, and we were talking about our soul desires. And that's a term that Jenny came up with. She called it soul goals. That was her term. And then yesterday, when I was with my coaching friend, I said to her, what do you want beauty to be? Like, what do you want people to know about beauty? Because that's the theme that she wants to integrate with leadership for women. And she said, my soul calling has been that I want people to feel how beautiful they are. And she's the one I told you about previously. And she's been a coach for 25 years. And she's good, Jessie. She's really good at what she does. And so I was I think it was a bit of a shock for me, because I could give her an experience in a coaching mode, which was a bit different to what I can do with her usually when I'm just being a friend and we're just talking things through, and you know, my therapy stuff just comes through because that's my language. So when we were talking again this morning about our soul's desires, I had that complete integration take place in my body. And that heaviness just, it was like I could see it like just dissipate almost. And then I realized that, well, for me, from my experience, that was what you were trying to get me to be aware of yesterday. And I couldn't. But it happened this morning. And then the integration of everything, all of a sudden, I got the whole process of aware of being charged, observe it, relax into it, trust the direction that you're headed towards, trusting that you are aligned enough, and that when you're aligned, things can happen that will support what your intention is. And I don't think I've been able to put all of that together with full feeling in my body. I've had bits of it. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it was for me. Like, I mean, I'm out walking today for the first time in 10 days. I'm kind of holding on to things as I go by because I've got so much vertigo. But I can do it without any tension in my body. It's just like, I don't know, it's like just walking differently, but still walking. So things are automatic, but they're also focused. I haven't had those kind of experience for a very long time in my life. So when we thought about where does that capacity come from? And for me, it is that practice that we did in morning groups and that we continue to do, you know, that orientation. And the orientation in terms of alignment, and then where does your soul or your heart want to go towards? And then you just go. So
That's powerful.
all the clutter, you know, that I have physically in my life, it's there. But I know now it'll get sorted. I don't have an anxiety about it anymore. It's like that experience that I had with you, Jessie, that first session about being scattered. So there you go. There's that quote from the poem. Remember that? Remember yesterday I said, will you come back to the beginning as though you are there for the first time? That's it. Okay, I'm complete now. Thank you for listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Denise.
Wow, I
It gives it-
celebrate that.
Gives me a whole new perspective of the hamster wheel coming back to where you began. Can be a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes, and so it's you that can make the difference. And it does make the difference. Determines all of it.
Yeah, it is
Thank
the completion. Yeah, it's like completion still in my focus. And so completion, it's like, that's what I heard with that. It's like a completion. It is to look back to where you were, see where you're at, take stock truth of the inventory of the now. And then I also heard you, it's like, oh, now I'm looking for alignment, intention. I love soul's goal. It's like, for me, that landed right in charge. That landed right in charge. Soul's goal.
Yeah.
That is the charge. Because when I say that, people are going to be charged with that. They're going to have resistance to it because they say, "Oh, I can't have that. That's not me." And it's like, bingo, you got them set in tension already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got them sitting in their wobble. And man, did I love how you distinguished when I was able to coach, I was a different capacity. Fuck yeah, when they give you permission to coach, it's a whole different place.
Yes. Exactly.
And what we're doing here is learning how to do it when they don't grant us coaching.
Yeah.
Because all that is like, I know what I want and I have an idea what you want until you have your idea.
Can you say that again?
When I like working with that, if I'm a creator, it's like I'm going to create my intentions and I'm going to hold yours higher until you do.
Mm.
And I'm not going to allow any of the other stuff to sneak its way in with me. What you do in your own alone time, yeah, that's the demons you get to battle.
But I think that, but I think that's what happened this morning. Was it was really weird, Jessie. It was like I was kind of looking. You know, Lynn spoke yesterday about the gnarly. And I was kind of the gnarlies are gone, and that's those, our own internal demons, the chatter. And I think that's when your full embodiment can happen. And that's why it feels so good.
Yeah, you just added a D. Just added a D. Demons. Aware you're being charged, demons. All right, what are you? Okay. So good, so good. What I'm bringing in today, what I'm bringing all of that in, I love it, and so all of that I'm bringing in. Let's see, what was it? It's kind of like filtering through. It's like the masculine, allowing a man to be feminine.
That can create a charge right there.
Right? That is marketing, right? Marketing is charging. Now, shit, we don't know which one's going to work, but that's why we get to practice them.
Mm.
And as you said that, what came up for me was and the opposite.
And the opposite, always, and the opposite. See, it's that is what's not said.
Yeah.
Inside the focus. I love that listening. Do you see the focus? And then it's like, oh, that's there. And it's like, great. And then you looked at how do you align, relate, orient to the claim?
Yeah.
Man, that is learning.
It sure is. And what I'm thinking now is that what part of you is listening is important. So that's again your awareness, right? So is it the egoic part that's looking for safety or enhancement to protect against the fear? Or is it coming from your true heart, which is humility and expansion and real creation? Well, not, you can't say real creation, but sustainable creation, because it's more, because it's aligned, it's coming from your aligned self.
Substantial,
Yes,
has more substance.
it has more substance, and it will therefore it lasts longer, right, Denise?
Mm-hmm.
So it's again that focus and the ability to discern.
How do you explain to a 9-year-old that discernment?
Oh, they kind of still do it.
Mm.
They know when it's all of them or not, but they don't necessarily have words to it. But you can witness it. You see it when you watch them playing and you see it.
Mm-hmm. So it's like we put on these layers
Exactly.
through childhood to adulthood
Yes.
that don't serve us, like a costume.
Yes.
And then we take that on as our actual identity. when
exactly.
it's really just a layer.
Yeah.
That can be peeled away with a very insightful question.
Yeah.
And it can just fall away and reveal what's already there.
And that question can only take place because the person that's asking the question can feel the resonance in the person in front of them.
Mm. So you see without your eyes.
I think so.
The different
it
type
can-
of seeing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, some people are very strong visually, so they see and feel at the same time. My one friend is like that. I'm not that good with visual.
Yeah, I think it's taking in all senses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more like taking in, observing all the information there, not going with the automatic charge or pattern, but rather looking at the objectively looking at truth. What is that telling me? Not that it's the true, like fundamental truth, but it's like, oh, that's my truth, or that's my belief about a truth, or that is my background truth. And we can always like test it to be like, is that true? Is it still the way that way?
Yeah.
And if we don't update it, we're going to be staying in the same place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That term updating is very useful.
Which term?
Updating.
Updating. Mhm.
Updating our operating
System.
system.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Before
So we
computer
have,
days.
yeah, we
sorry,
have
go.
this program running in the background that's not really working well with the new awareness.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So the software is not compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're
Yeah,
unaware of it. Yeah.
yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about it till the cows come home, but experiencing it is a whole different level.
It is different. Uh, uh, I think when you really get to experience it, that's when it, oh, never mind. This is so obvious. So,
A BFO
yeah.
just landed. Meow.
Never mind.
I love the giggle.
What I was going to say is when you experience it, then it becomes automatic, right? And then it's just part of your language.
That's the beauty of it. We
Yeah.
want to make those habits automatics.
Yes.
And
So that
sorry, Jessica.
is like, that's replacing the old, that's updating.
Yes. And that's why that experience, Jenny, when you asked me, remember this morning you asked me how was my experience this morning yesterday?
Mhm.
And I said it was interesting. And it's because I couldn't quite figure out
Articulate
what
it.
was so different about it. And yeah, and I've just realized now the reason that it felt so different was because it was such a different, I was using different languaging, as you said, Jesse, that I experienced myself doing coaching more than therapy, and that I could feel the difference.
You had
Um,
integrated a lot of learning and you were being your
and I didn't quite
Oh.
realize, yeah,
authentic self, but you were shedding an old costume and putting on a new one.
yeah.
You were resisting the coach hat.
Well, it's just that I didn't know how to work the limbs of it, I think. Also because what I'm integrating is not what's necessarily being put out in the package, right, hey, Denise?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's again because of, oh, okay, so here's the thing. I didn't know why. I just knew that I far preferred being with Jesse than being on the Magmount calls on any of them.
So what is that?
That's following your resonance.
Not everybody resonates with everybody else.
Mm-mm. No.
One size does not fit all.
Mm-mm.
That's right. And that's where I say everyone has to hear it, experience it. It just doesn't have to be from me.
Yeah.
So what
Yep.
is the foundation, the bedrock, the skeleton that needs to happen consistently?
I'll go. Alignment, ABC, FORT, inspired action.
Hmm.
Observe the response and repeat the whole thing all over again.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Is that it?
What do you think? Your truth.
I think it covers it.
I agree. I just was questioning your questioning.
I know. That's why I'm laughing.
You know, and now that you've like blazed a trail with the question, right? It's like that's
Yeah.
guiding. It's like you asked the question and then you gave your response. So that gives us time to orient, to think, to take your information in and say yes, and then add ours.
That's right.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Man, it keeps coming to continually comes to structure for me.
Mm.
Yes.
And structure for what are you doing in the tension?
Yes.
What is
Yes.
your intention?
Mhm. What is your what has you in tension?
Yeah. So what has you intention and what is your intention?
Or what has your intention?
Mm.
Is it a charge?
Mm. Mm. This is such good stuff.
Just playing.
I know.
Mm.
It's good.
So that has to be present too.
For me, yeah, definitely.
So Jesse, yesterday with Marnie, when she asked me to go over the thing about creative structure as opposed to problem solving structure. I didn't speak to it in the way that Chris does because I don't understand. There's something that doesn't click for me when Chris explains it. So, I mean, like I said, Marnie's sophisticated, right? So I might run into problems with other people, but so I did my explanation, which I'd given her on Saturday again in the morning, and then which is why she asked me to come and facilitate. And then she looked at me and she said to me, this is a complete paradigm shift in my experience of living.
Whoa.
So, when you said that for you, it always comes back down to structure because it's so absolutely fundamental.
But we hear the word and we think we understand it.
Mm.
And it definitely has layers. So I think there's two fundamental things that are needed for transformation. A willing, open heart to learn something from what might be a BFO, blinding flash of the obvious, and a willingness or ability to change one's behavior.
Mm. Mm.
And that is the aligned action that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because it hasn't landed fully. Right. So you go back to how they go back and forth with this thing about a true choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. If that behavior doesn't happen, it's because where you were headed isn't true enough to you at the time that you choose it. It might be true at a later stage, but at the time that you choose it, if your actions don't align, because it's not a true enough direction for you.
You create both of them.
Yeah.
You create the equal. You can't just create one of it. It's like from that moment when you go forward, it's like you create both sides of it. You create all sides of it. You create what's there, what isn't there, and what could be there.
And it's only with awareness that you come to understand that. With full awareness.
Exactly.
Right.
So the A of the ABC could take weeks, months.
Oh God, yeah. Months. It could take a year. It depends totally on where people are at. I mean, Jenny, I think we all always think of our own stories, not necessarily always, but most of the time we do. And I think of myself and all the training that I've had over the years in both the academic training and then in experiential, philosophical, spiritual training. And I certainly haven't had this level of awareness and capacity in my life ever before. I had bits of it, but not all pulled together. Oh, I've got a good one I want to share with you guys, and it's off the record. So when I was with my meditation teacher, I was already ill at that stage. And I was busy doing my first master's, and I really wanted to not be ill anymore. So I said to him, Guruji, what is it? Why am I sick like this? And he burst out laughing. And he said something. So he'd had a stroke, and his speech, you had to have a scribe to translate his speech. And the scribe, who was then 16, she was sitting there and she went bright red and burst out laughing with him. And I'm sitting there, you know, like completely out of it, like not understanding, of course. And I looked at her and she reaches over and puts her hand on my knee and he said, do you ask yourself, why am I having this when you have an orgasm?
That's funny.
It was such a shock because I was so prepared for, you know, I've got to have to go do this and I've got to go do that. And it was just, this is life. This is for you. This is yours. You make of it what you need to, what you want to. And I didn't, I got the essence of it. I didn't get the detail of it. And now I can speak to the detail of it. And that was that thing, I think why that quote that Bruce shared with me resonated for me again, you know, the one that I shared with you yesterday about us being the essence of beauty.
Yes.
So this keeps coming here, and thank you, Allison. That was a great color to the words and the learning. And what I'll want to say inside of that is we were talking about, you know, like, how do we help others? How do we serve others? How do we serve others with what we care? Like, so, and Ginny, you're asking, it's like, oh, so like, what has people become aware? And then, like, when they are aware, what are they aware of? And then what do they need to be aware, like, of going for? And so
Yes.
you ask like, what is the shortcut that I think would hit the most people the fastest? And that was the question I asked. And so I sat in it, and what came back around again was how many people say their true choice out loud?
Just about nobody.
That's why.
Very few.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't work. That's why people are stuck. That is the simplest thing in the world that there is. As soon as they start to say what they want, they'll figure out what resistance they have to it, why they're afraid of it. And when they let that go and say, oh, no, there's got to be a way I can have it. Yeah. And they start taking that action to it, is the only way people are going to be aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is, as guides, that is our service.
That's good to see.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, what comes to me is Marnie's experience was that she could say what she wanted, but when I made her go into it and embody it, it was a completely different thing for her. Because then it really landed. And so her choice was still the same.
Level 2.
Okay.
Added value. Do you see that? It's like, now it's another step.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, you've learned it. Yeah. You stepped right over it, but we're still talking about people that are still back there.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we really don't, I mean, do we really care about those that are with us? Hell yeah, we have the most fun with them.
True
But
that.
remember, we can't get through the gates of heaven until we're all there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so all we have to do is have people, what is your soul's goal?
Hmm.
Is there resistance to that? Hell yes. Unless you ask a kid and they'll tell you right away.
Yes. So that answers Jenny's question. How do you get a 9-year-old to be aware? Ask him what his soul's goal is.
Mm-hmm. It works with a 19-year-old as well.
Hmm.
Who would have the toughest time listening to that, working that, internalizing that?
Oh, I can think of a good section of the population.
The 39, 49, 59, 69-year-old.
Mm.
Why?
Because of ingrained patterns, habits of thinking, acting, and feeling.
Such as?
It's not how we do things.
Because of the how.
Yeah, I need to know how. Yep, that's the big one. How.
I didn't do it that way. I was successful and I did it this way. So you have to do it this way too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't need something this simple. I need complicated.
Mhm. To prove
It
how
can't be
clever
that
I-
can't be that easy.
Mhm. Mm.
Did you get to say what you wanted, Allison?
Yes, thanks.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Mm-mm.
Great. So do you see that in a while? That was we were creating your soul's goals.
Yeah.
See, your market. We were talking to your
Yeah.
market right there, recorded, talking to your market. So there's a snip around it. We were in our genius, yeah, as best we could for as long as we could. And now we're back in
Yes.
our ego. Did you feel the flow stop?
Yeah.
That was the completion. Yeah. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
aware of it. All right. Now what are we going to be being? Now what are we being? Because we can't be there all the time.
No,
Not
you
yet. I
can't.
mean, we got to build that damn skill.
Yeah.
That means you got to feel it, Allison, which was the second level. And that is where the real value is at. But before that, like it's almost a lost cause to work with most people on that first level.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Unless you really get a real good shortcut. Yeah. That doesn't
But-
require a process.
So Jenny, that term of yours, when we use what is your soul's goal rather than what is it that you want, for me, that's a huge shortcut. Because that then immediately gets them into alignment, or at least headed towards that direction.
Exactly. And you're just making sure the orientation in which it's headed is towards happy for them.
Yes.
Positive. See, there you go. So it's always a space and a time.
Cool.
And the
Yeah.
space is always, and the space is always positive, negative, or neutral. And the time is always past, present, and future. It's only 6 things you got to worry about.
Positive,
2 things you
negative,
really got to listen
future,
for.
past, present, future. Oh God, yeah. Whew.
all in 3 15-minute segments.
Isn't it amazing how quickly we can create cool stuff?
Yeah. Now, when you say your true feelings and your soul goals, when you say your soul goals and your experience it every day, yeah, it's amazing
Yes.
what happens at the end of 85.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Oh, but I'm going to still do it alone because my way is obviously working really well.
Yeah.
That is what I said 85 days ago. Yeah. And I said that for whatever 45 years of my life, yeah, or whatever.
You're not
It's
alone.
yeah, it's interesting that thing, you know, Desi, because for me, I always looked for the collaboration. And then I found myself where I literally I couldn't get it at that very, very deep level. I could have it in my friendship, but I couldn't have it in my marriage. Bruce just couldn't do it. And that left me really alone. And initially I was furious about it. And then I think it was because of my meditation practice. Then something changed. So it's interesting for people how some will go from alone to being together, and others will go from looking for togetherness and then finding something in the aloneness and then going again towards the togetherness. And
Oscillation. See that? There's your connection to Chris. Oscillation. I go to alone, yeah, and then I get frustrated and disappointed, and then I need to be around people, and then I go over there, and then I get too much of that, right? And I need to go over here, and then I go be alone again. Yeah, yeah, go be alone, and then I'll come over here to people again. And do you see? I mean, if that's one of our patterns, uh, surrounded by all sorts of other patterns, whatever we're focused on, whatever we're putting our intention, our sight on, our thinking, our feelings on. And so
yes,
without a doubt, this most simplest is the structure of one, your thoughts, separate them from your feelings.
yes, and for me,
Hell.
it's also about the connection to the soul goal.
Mm.
Not even the soul goal, just connection to the abundance that each of us has in the fact that we're alive, in the fact that we have got a life, that we have that gift.
The sublimity of the mundane.
Mm.
Yes. Which, when you think about it, is the majority of our space and time.
Yes, it is.
Which is why the default happy will always work.
Yes. Yes.
And the default of together, to gather always works better than alone.
Yes.
Those are fundamental truths. Now, to the point that we don't understand the truths is how we're out of alignment.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it.
So, shortcut is to get from A to B. And you spelled it out, Allison, that you embrace it, embody it, and teach it because you created it and embodied it to be able to say, oh, it's like this, and this. And it's like, that's where I come from. That becomes my intention because it is my genius. Yes. That's your soul's goal alignment. Throw out magnetic mind alignment, you know? It's like, oh, there's your soul's goal alignment.
Mm. Mm.
You
Here
have a
we go.
meditation
Yep.
and a powerful process because it is a visualization. Jesus, it's so much better than the land of plenty. Because the land of plenty you're doing alone. Writing, that's why writing is so good right there. It's like writing it, but no, and nothing around being with others and having to speak it. What are we so afraid of in that? That's the key. And all my morning sessions is just share the truth of now, because that's a dominant strategy too. Because it's the second part of the equation, right? It's not only, we've been talking about what do we want, the soul's goal, but the other component is the truth of now. What's obvious right in this moment. And it's like, there, bingo. Now, so the other truth is always in the present. So those are the 2 points that matter in a structure. But I also know that, man, I can add all sorts of other points to it, but I can only focus on that just to keep it simple. Because I'm not very smart.
I beg to differ.
Repeat those 2 points again. Yeah, I do too. Repeat those 2 points again, Darcy.
2 points. What are my 2 points?
May I take a stab?
Yeah, please do. That was your space.
The present, the power of being in the now. When people look at the current, they think of the present. That's point A. Point B is your soul's goal. And when they take place in the same space, you're aligned.
Wow, brilliant.
Did I get it right, Teeth?
You did for somebody. It's whether it's enough is what matters for you.
I'm just playing. It works for me.
Yeah.
It's my words work for me, but do they work for you? I don't know.
That was
See,
good.
and that is a tough lesson or pill to swallow.
And you must swallow it. Why?
Well, for the lesson, of course. For the experience,
No.
because every one of us.
Yeah. Because you are the essence of beauty.
And the humility of confusion.
See, it's the truth. Yes, you speak the truth, Allison, but what we are also wanting to know is, why are people out of alignment with that truth?
Yeah.
That helps you build the contrast. That helps you listen to it. Otherwise, it's a blind spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's learning. Or we say, oh, what's your old pattern?
What's my old pattern? What's anybody's old pattern?
I don't get
Is
it.
to go for what's secure, right?
Hmm.
So to go for a conclusion as opposed to keeping it open.
So you are predicting
it's n-
how people will respond and react, and you are surprised when it's not the normal.
Yeah.
And you honor their genius with whatever they come up with, and they say, well, shit, I don't get that anywhere else. You honor
Yeah.
their soul's goal. You honor the moment, the truth now that we share. And that's what I learned in my morning, was how to be in the present moment.
Yeah.
How to let go of my ego. How to say I don't know. How to work with other people to build an organism. Did I have those intentions going in? Hell no. Did I have intentions of
Mm.
being frustrated working alone? Yes. And has every day been better? Yes and no.
Mm. Mm.
But it doesn't matter. What matters is what I'm aware of and what I'm after.
And sometimes it's frustrating to work with others.
That's right. Why am I frustrated? What has it? Is it mine or is it theirs?
Hmm.
And then what do we have to do? Like, where do we need to be? And what could it be? Look, I don't ever have to settle on it has to be something, because usually I let go it by the point. I don't have to figure out what it is. And if I know it's unresolved, that means that something's coming up. And we get blindsided too. We just think of it as a skill. Like, well, we're just improving our skill of life. Of,
Yes.
flowing into the nature that's already been created before us. Like, that is what we're resisting. Like, you think we are resisting, like, being happy is what we are doing.
Mm. Mm.
And there is scientific proof that all people want is to be happy, number one, and belong, number two. You give people those two things,
Mm. Yeah.
you give them structure, you give them space and time. I've demonstrated that process. Do you remember the process? Take me through the process.
What do you want? Why can't you have it?
Well, that's a good one. Not that wasn't the one I was thinking about.
The
So
word?
here we
What
here we
then?
go. Here we go. Think about your last 3 days. Think about your last three. Just reflect on your last 3 days.
Hmm. Oh,
What
okay.
was your charge,
Positive.
Allison?
Mine was neutral, I think.
Mhm. And so what percentage of time, because there's a majority and there's 3 of them, so what percentage would you give that one?
50
Okay. And then, so what would be the next one?
positive.
And what percentage of that?
30%. No,
Great.
20%. And next it
What?
was 30.
There you go. See, we just caught
Yeah.
yourself in a lie. We caught your unconscious in a lie right there.
Hmm.
No big deal. No big deal. Just a belief. Yeah. It's like, oh, wonderful. And you let go of the resistance as we unpacked it.
And also what I noticed is that the positive outweighs the negative. Doesn't matter about the percentage because I'm in the positive at the moment.
Right now, and then then inside of that exercise, now you see you have a choice, and it's like, oh my God, just notice how much your perspective is different now in that one process.
Exactly.
Wow.
See, time, Allison was time with me. Allison kept me in the time, or, it kept me in one of the categories. I'm trying to reflect back and I can't, because that's what happens when you stay in the moment, right? And then you
Yeah.
always transition. And so it's just slowing down to let the lesson set in. So that's one way to work the process that I have done before with each of you. And once you only have to do it once, which is the beauty of it. But then obviously, again, we got to come back and remind ourselves, oh yeah, that is one that we're doing because it is such a powerful creative structure for awareness.
Yes.
So
that's just what
I
was-
recall taking that same lesson to a practice session. How much time do we spend focused on the past, the present, and the future, which is a little bit
Mm.
different, but it's the same concept.
Yeah, it was information. You were providing information. You weren't providing a process.
Ah, so you said, go think about the last 3 days. So then I'm in the process in that question.
Yep. And you have a
Mm.
choice to do it. You have a choice to do it. And it's good. Do you see I'm aiming at to be positive because you could be manipulative with this too.
Mhm.
You don't think AI is
Or
going to
you
pick up on
allowing
that?
the unconscious. Yeah.
Say that
I
again
think
about
so.
AI.
I just said, you don't think AI is going to pick up on that?
Oh God, yeah.
We're patterns, people. We're patterns. We're dumb patterns.
Mm.
And we're trying to mimic ourselves. Let's get ahead of it before something else. So that's outside of that. But that's the value of the process. See, the value of the process is to be aware instantaneously, put them in experience, and it's either so it's time or it's positive or negative. Do you see it? You choose one of the two paths to go down in the moment with the group or the people you're with.
Mm.
It is such a huge awareness for people, and you do have to remind them.
It
I don't
is.
remind people enough about it, probably, which is probably the only process you would need. But in a way, we do it every morning. So that's what I celebrate about my completion week of my first quarter. As a powerful creator, yeah, learning my ABCs, my happy matrix, and I'm excited to put together what these 90 days become.
Mm.
Mm. What is your intention for the next?
I don't know.
Mm. Mm.
And I state my intention. My intention is to live, in other words, act on more of my aligned genius gift.
Is that a soul's goal?
Mm. Mm.
Feels like it then.
Mm. That's what I got.
What's your soul's goal?
Hang on, there's a bike coming by. So I have to kind of watch the dog for a sec. My soul's goal is to continue to practice being in alignment and in the present moment. as much as possible.
Nice.
I love creating. And if I had to focus it, I love creating value. And in the value, I love uncovering genius.
Mm.
Nice.
So that people are aware that they're being charged. How do you change the world? One heart at a time. How do I do that? Happy prophets, people prophets, ambassadors.
Mm.
The story, the last 90 days, I'm not complete yet. I still have till Saturday. That's 90 days.
Mm.
My program's complete. This one is.
Mm.
Yes, you can celebrate intention. I can celebrate I didn't hold it all the time. And yeah, I did.
I like that.
And it's visual. People can see our changes for not everyone was there every day. How do you get
But
any
they
more
can see
equal
the
than that?
changes.
Say it again.
How do you not get more equal than that?
A double negative question always gets me. How do you
Good.
not more than that? I don't think you can. And what is being present?
So there,
You
if
know,
I
the,
said there's a part of me that would what love, there was a part of me that needed to say that, yeah, and it was like, okay, and then the part of it was I see the difference now. If I said I was on that call every 90 days, I wouldn't view like it. I couldn't orient to that as equal.
Hmm.
But I can, and I learned the lesson just now, right? Of like, I had all intentions of holding a call on Sunday, and my alarm woke me up. So my first woke me up, and I'm laying in the bed in Vegas, and it's like, oh, and I was like, most of the time I'll close my eyes for just a like moment and really like, I work on a true choice per se, like, and then sometimes I fall back asleep, and 2 minutes later or just before the call, I'll wake up. Yeah. Well, today, like that day, I slept 45 minutes. Whoop, a whole hour. It's like, okay, well, there's very likely is anyone going to be holding on for 45 minutes. And if they did, okay, cool.
That would draw some questions.
Well, or that would, I would know what that meant.
Hmm.
you would know what that meant if they hung on for 45 minutes.
Mhm.
They
The only
needed
thing,
it.
the only obvious thing that I could think of would be they were waiting for me to show up. And I
Hmm.
failed them then. I failed them. It's like, oh, so I could have at least logged on to see. Like that would have been a higher standard of mine. It's like, okay, that's something I could learn from.
Hmm.
Just learn that now, right? Just put that together today as I reflected on it,
Mm.
as I shared it out loud, as I tested it. And then today, it's like I can say, no, I wasn't on every call. Now Like at some point, is it gonna matter if these 90 days turn into something? Of course, but my intention is that they do. It's part of my $100,000 project.
Mm.
It is my $100,000 project
I-
that I
yeah,
showed up every day fucking doing.
yeah.
And everyone loves to ask me, where am I going with it? What's it
I
gonna
don't
do?
know.
How's it gonna turn out? I'm not even done yet.
So there's a
Uh,
humility in not achieving that, being there every day, regardless of intention. And yet there was a huge demonstration by all the days that you did show up. And an obvious seeking by many that, oh, is there a session? What? I try to get on, like an expectation. So that's an interesting. Contrast.
And those are the things that happen in every transaction, just about, right?
Mm-hmm. And also there was a balance, there's the family traveling with your son and need to be in a role as a father, as a husband, and to balance those roles. I get that as a mom, as a wife, as a sister, as a colleague. How that balance sometimes requires some things not being done.
And there was consensus about that in the group too.
Mm-hmm. And there was a communication that you would be traveling with your family. And there was a connection of those two, that you weren't holding a Friday afternoon call. So it's just interesting about our expectations of ourselves and of others.
Mm. The ebb and flow of activity, or the ebb and
Mhm.
flow of doing.
the ebb and flow of information.
Yes.
But if you're in repose, you can't really say, there won't be a session today when you're in La La Land.
Mm.
And that's okay too.
This was so valuable for me. Again, thank you so much, you guys.
Absolutely. Pure gold.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Unless there's another creation in the works.
There's a And then it's like part of a completion is always acceptable inside of that. Yeah, allowable. And the other one is that ending is common. And what I mean, like that ending is common. It was like, oh, that was wonderful, spectacular, great, magnificent, beautiful, la 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 la, unicorns and rainbows, we could call it, you know. I mean, that's where most people are. And so we can just assume that's where they'll be with it, knowing you guys aren't, knowing you guys are after more and valuable. There's places to recap and speak that back so that this becomes an asset shortcutted right to the audience for the people that need to hear it.
Mm.
That would be more of an intention, Allison, of what I was getting for yesterday was pulling it out of you, your $100,000 project.
I know. Sorry.
Inside of mine. Yeah. In
Inside
a completion.
yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, wrap all the way back around to when I said, I'm going to always hold a higher one than you are in the direction of as you fill it in.
Mm.
And as we talked earlier, is what is the shortcut is to say, what is my true goal? What is my true soul's goal? To say it into my words so that I can feel in my body where they don't line up.
Mm.
And when they don't line up, I can say, what's my wobble to that? Where's my charge? Where's my time? And where's my space? Yeah. And is that what I want? Is that an alignment? So there's a couple of different ways. So that is part of what I work with is like, there was a whole lot of learning in that. And if we could put it on the end of it, wrap it all into one huge valuable statement that takes 5 minutes, we could send that to everyone. And it's like, wouldn't we hit a larger percentage of the market? Wouldn't we be in the intention of our projects? Wouldn't we be in the intention of our end result? Wouldn't we be in our intentions of helping each other, creating an organism that's amplifying the good in the world?
Mm.
Or we can do it alone. So that was what I invite the next creation into.
Mm.
That's a great container. As you know,
Yes.
just as you were talking a few times today, I kept on going back to my experience in working in therapy with my clients, you know, and sometimes I could get to where I wanted to be with them, and other times, no, it didn't, it didn't land, it didn't happen. So it's really interesting for me to see again how when you can discern and see the details of things and then bring them back together. So you go out and then you come back in and hand that package over, the one that's pulled in, which is your, as you were saying now, you know, if you could put all of that into 5 sentences for people. And there was a moment yesterday when I was working with Marnie, I can't remember what the sentence was. But she said something and then I reworded it for her and she looked at me and she said, that needs to be put in a letter and sent out to the world. So, and I can't remember at all what the sentence was, but it's the same sentiment as what you're talking about in terms of pulling the stuff together and being able to digest it, right? We go back to that image of the nest with the birds, where the mother digests the food and then gives it out. And it happens over and over again, and each time you refine it. Make it more contextual or applicable to the context that you're working in. You change the language to meet the people that you're working with. There's a lot that happens.
Gather, breakthrough, scatter.
Yes.
Major.
Yes.
Thank you, Allison. Love that.
You're welcome. It's what you've been giving me. Sharing. Exploring. Integrating. It's really good.
Yeah, there's
like
a clarity that comes when you simplify things like you do.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, there was a nice quote. Clarity comes when you analyze consciously. I love that. Because that's a completely different way of analyzing, right?
Yeah, conscious clarity.
Mm. That's what it is. That's it. That's what it is that I resonated with you, Jesse, more than what I resonated with Chris. And that's just the difference for me. And even or not even, and also with Hannah. So it's just noticing the differences, right? It's because you do that. You don't just analyze from a headspace, and I'm not saying that Chris does that. I think he's very intuitive. It's got more to do with the way in which the material is taught than him as a personality, I think. But it's the way the material is taught also, says something, not everything, but it says something. Anyway, it's just, again, just to be aware of the difference and to know what works for you. And you're going to be of the best service when you go what works for you. And it's not always easy to go with that resonance as opposed to, what your other thoughts around a situation might be. That's just circling back to what we've already said. Okay. I think I'm done. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk. I've got nothing new.
All right. Thank you, Allison. How about you, Jenny?
I don't have anything to add, but just a thank you for more clarity today.
mm.
And it was fun.
It sure was.
So what's the obvious action?
Continue creating.
Live soul's goals.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, good. I'd encourage practice with the time awareness. Yeah, it's a process and know when they're charged. That's a way people can begin to be aware of their charge and where
Mm.
their focus or their intentions are, their
Mhm.
patterns. And so when you have them look over some horizon of time, they're reflecting back in a whole new way. So it's scrambling and reconnecting patterns a different way. And it's like, then in a way, it's like, oh, now there's a platform to work from. And you do that with both and every time all that is just throwing up resistance. So I don't know how long you could work that with people until they're kind of like, all right, I need something new.
Oh, but then by then surely they've left
Exactly.
And
Well,
and they've gone on to do their thing.
yep.
Mhm.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And they will remember that session more times than not, and the more that they come back to you more frequently, the more that they'll learn, right? They'll improve, they'll live their own soul's goal.
That's right.
Hmm.
Cool.
That's right. And so, Jesse, you always say that you choose every day. And so I honor that choice. I'm extremely grateful for that. So I just want to say to the two of you that I also choose every day. And I know that I choose today, I choose to be able to have an anchor in this kind of space, including the two of you and others. But that's my choice going forward.
Hmm. Thank you, Allison. I couldn't have chosen two better people to spend my walking time with.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoy in here. It's like the anchors are in the words. They're in the lessons. They're in the learning. They're in the cycles, the patterns, the replaying, the experiments, the playing. The awareness. And so it's again, just as I work with completion, noticing that I have just declared that it'd be a 90-day project. So in completion of that, it's not over yet. Still in like, what would I focus on in completion? What would I observe? And then what do I relax into? So, and I love, like what I love doing is being able to simplify my lessons, my learning. So it helps. So it's valuable. It's available. And that there's a demonstration in every one of them.
That availability is so key. And part of that is marketing.
Yep. And as we've mentioned, the different orientation when it's all for me is different.
Mm. Mm.
When it's lack, it's
Mm.
different.
Mm.
And when I cast a stone as such, I always remember that I have mine too.
Mm.
When I say it out loud, it means like there's my lesson that I acknowledge.
Mm.
It's just so I hope I don't have to deal with it again. Right? Because we're always,
We can always hope.
always hope. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. I got something here I got to go work on, and
Thank
you
you.
guys, yeah, thank you. Really enjoyed it. As
Yeah.
we,
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Allison.
Thanks,
All right, guys.
Gigi.
Bye all.
Bye,
Happy
guys.
creating. Bye now.
Yeah. Bye.